that's why we have to take a look at the whole picture. Forget about the constitutional issue. Please take a look at the practical issue and what the experts are telling us, that this is really the most pressing issue, that we get fathers back into the lives of our children so that we can become more effective families in the state of Michigan. I close with this notion here. I spoke with a retired CEO who said, Michigan and the United States have to understand we are not educating our children. They are delinquent. They are performing poorly in school. And the global economy is going to eat us up because we are not educating our children. The statistics are overwhelming. But when you have both children and the lives of their children, they do better. And if that isn't in the best interest of the children, I don't know what is. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from Mr. Reisdorf? Thank you, sir. Representative Flores.
Thanks. I've listened, to both sides of this, and there's just a couple of things that kind of keep occurring to me. As a fellow member of the bar, I value the courtroom as a place where you can resolve disputes and want to believe in its capacity to do so. I know that sometimes it fails, and clearly in the current regime, the current legal regime, we have a system that sometimes is going to fail one or both parents, or one or both or all kids. That's certainly going to happen sometimes. It seems, though, that to change the system in the way that this bill suggests would also create a system where it will sometimes fail children and sometimes fail parents. And I guess the difference as I see it, and I'm wondering if you could just comment on this, is on the one hand, you've got a system that is absolutely tone deaf, which is, as being proposed by this bill, absolutely tone deaf to what's actually going on in the family, because you are offering a fairly one-size-fits-all answer. And in the other system, at least you have an arbiter. At least you have a person who's weighing the facts and hearing the arguments and has some manner of contact with the parents and the children, potentially. Wouldn't we prefer that as members of the bar? Wouldn't we prefer that system be the one that's in place?
I suggest, Representative, that there is this concept that you and others have that somehow this legislation is going to eliminate trials. That's not true. The judge will still be there. The judge will still hear testimony. The judge will still be an arbiter. It's just that the burden changes. Okay, the burden changes. Now, why would we take that drastic measure? Why would we ever do that? I should advise you, this presumption, this cookie cutter, as some people call it, already exists. It exists in the parenting statute. MCLA 2, I can't remember the site, but it's called the parenting statute. And in the parenting statute, it says a parent shall have parenting time with the child with a frequency and duration calculated to establish a strong relationship with the child. Okay, it says that there. Unless clear and convincing evidence is proposed that would cause the judge to believe there's a danger to the child.
Okay.
Now, us folks say, if that exists in the parenting time statute, why doesn't it exist in the whole spectrum? Why doesn't it? And the reason, and we think that it doesn't, because the system doesn't work. Your suggestion is that we are overly diligent to protect the situation. I'm suggesting that protections still exist in this law. They are alive and well. The suggestion that a judge would not find a parent unfit because of clear abuse, violence, alcoholism, it baffles me, because every judge...
Let me ask you, I certainly understand your position. Let me ask you just a question. Is it conceivable to you that there would be a situation where, despite the fact that you might have two parents that would be fit, as used as a legal term with regard to this legislation, you have two parents that would be fit, yet it would not be in the best interest of the child or children for there to be joint custody. Is that ever conceivable to you?
Okay. It depends on what you mean.
Well,
Okay.
let me just be clear. I mean, you have a determination that both parents are fit.
Okay.
Is it possible that you could have a scenario where you have two fit parents, but it is not in the interest of the children for there to be full joint custody?
No.
It's impossible.
No, it's not.
It's not
It's not.
impossible. Okay.
Because what you're
So
saying
then, let me just ask
represents-
that, then
Okay.
if it's not impossible, then why would you want to eliminate the possibility for a court to make that determination that though both parents are fit, joint custody is not preferable for the benefit of the children?
Okay. I guess I misunderstood your statement. It is not logical that if two parents are fit, that they shouldn't have a relatively equivalent relationship with the child. That's the statute that's used. The underpinning of the statute is, if both parents are fit, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect.
I would agree with
They just
you.
have to be fit.
I would agree with
That's-
you. But in the
okay,
same
so-
sense, you don't need to have full joint custody in order to have full participation by both parents in the life of the children. Isn't that correct?
You have to have relatively equivalent relationships.
I agree. Does that mean full joint custody?
I don't know. Oh, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I suggest to the court, to this panel, that, like my brothers on the other side have said, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand, parents work things out. Parents work things out under all legislation, new or old. 85% of parents do. The thing that we want to tell them is, step out in the hall, ladies and gentlemen, rather than arguing over who goes to the dentist more than the other. Go out in the hall and tell us whether or not there's something serious here. Is your husband an alcoholic who abuses alcohol or not? If he does, we will bring it to the attention of the judge, and you will not have to worry about joint custody because you won't get it. And that, I assure you, is the underpinning of this statute. That's what this statute says.
Mr. Reisdorf, I'm not seeing any other questions. I do have one. It goes, kind of straps on the question that the Majority Vice Chair, Representative Coloris, just asked you. In a hypothetical with two fit parents,
Yes.
one of the parents, in this case, the dad, lives 121 miles away. We heard testimony early that referred to children being much like chattel property. Can't that be a situation where you have fit parents but joint custody may not be proper in the effect that it has on that child?
Yes,
And
and
then they would
and
be
the
used as-
distance is a big problem. And the proposers of this really struggled with that. And so they came up with this 1-year rule. And I don't have any hard and fast answers for that situation, certainly where the parents are already geographically apart. Because I'll be the first to tell you.
Same state, but they may be 121 miles apart, which could cause real burden on a child who may have to leave the soccer game early so that the father can have, or the mother, joint custody, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I suggest to you, existing law can deal with that quite well because we have what's called a 100-mile rule, which, first of all, requires parents not to move 100 miles until they go through the proper channels. Okay. So I don't have a hard and fast answer to that, but I recognize the geographic distance is a significant problem, and I'll not be ridiculous and suggest to you that with 121 miles apart, the parties can have children flying back and forth. It can't happen. I will suggest in here, and take a minute if you can, to read the Kelly Lamb study. The notion that children suffer trauma because they spend certain times of the week with one parent and another is baloney. It's just not supported by current psychological literature. Children are extremely adaptive. They go from one house to another. They make transitions 2 or 3 times a day as it is now.
Thank you. I appreciate